Welcome to Timeless Tales, History, and Folklore. I'm Dayanara, your host. If you're intrigued by tales, history, and folklore, subscribe and press the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. Today I'll be talking about the serpent and how it has been a prevalent figure and symbol throughout human history. The most well-known, which I spoke of in the story of Adam and Eve. The word serpent derives from the Latin word serpens, a crawling animal or snake. They represent dual expression of good and evil, appearing in both negative and positive aspects. In the Bible, the tale of Adam and Eve has resulted in the serpent being depicted as deceptive and evil. When looking at its dual nature, we understand that in the story of Adam and Eve, it appears in its negative aspect because it tempts Eve to disobey God. On the contrary, many would say that the serpent was instrumental for the progress of humankind. Interestingly, 1/3 of adults worldwide suffer from ophidiophobia, the fear of snakes. This could be an evolutionary response due to the survival mechanism of our ancestors, or because of its negative portrayal in history and the media. The serpent is a symbol for sexual desire and/or anything related to paganism, although there are instances where the serpent is portrayed in its positive aspect in the Bible. There are verses that show us analogies of the serpent representing wisdom and medicine. In the book of Mark, chapter 16, verse 18, it reads, "They will pick up serpents with their hands, and if they drink any deadly poison, it will not hurt them. They will lay their hands on the sick, and they will recover." In Matthew chapter 10, verse 16, it reads, "Behold, I am sending you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. So be wise as serpents and innocent as doves." In the first verse, serpents are referenced as a form of healing or medicine, while in the second verse, they're referenced as wise and intelligent. When looking at alternative healing modalities such as Reiki, which is a Japanese form of energy healing, many practitioners use the symbol of the serpent, particularly the cobra, as a symbol for healing when doing their sessions. As we look at the book of Exodus, the serpent represents primordial energy in the staff of Moses, much like Kundalini energy, which is the creative divine source that rises along your spinal column, leading to an awakening of self-realization in Hinduism. The wilderness that Moses leads his people out of symbolizes their spiritual unconsciousness. As he brings them out of it using a staff which momentarily transforms into a snake, then back to a staff, he brings them to an awakening of themselves. It's interesting how this concept is demonstrated in two entirely different cultures. In the indigenous civilizations of North America, ancient Egypt, and Greece, the serpent is viewed as a symbol of fertility, rebirth, renewal, and immortality. In the Ojibwe and Pueblo tribes, snakes being able to shed their skins associated them with fertility and new life. The Hopi people see the snake as deeply connected to the underworld. As part of their annual snake dance, participants release snakes so that they can deliver requests for rain to the underworld deities. The Cherokee also have a mixed fear and reverence for the power of the snake, which they believe is a supernatural being who has connections to the thunder gods. As you can see, the serpent is one of the most symbolized creatures in God's creation across many cultures from past to present. Let's look at St. Patrick and how he drove out all of the snakes from Ireland. St. Patrick was a 5th century missionary who later served as a bishop. He had been fasting on top of a hill for 40 days. While up there, he is attacked by snakes. With a wave of his staff, he drove them out of Ireland and into the sea. The problem with this tale is that the climate is too cold, thereby making it impossible for any snakes to live or survive. St. Patrick, a Christian missionary, represents Christianity, drove out all of the snakes who represent the pagans of Ireland. St. Patrick is credited with bringing Christianity to the Picts and the Anglo-Saxons and is one of the patron saints of Ireland. The serpents in this tale are symbols of paganism. Paganism is simply the ancestral religion of all of humanity. Pagans remain active throughout the world in complex civilizations such as Japan and India, but also includes smaller tribal societies worldwide. It was the outlook of the European religions of classical antiquity in places like Persia, Greece, Egypt, and Rome. They honor nature and worship many deities such as gods and goddesses alike. While the serpent is seen as evil in Abrahamic religions, contrarily, we see that they are also a symbol of healing, medicine, and power. Snake venom, for example, can either kill you or heal you. It is both a deadly poison or a life-saving antidote. Every aspect of life is created from a balanced interaction of opposite and competing forces. The Caduceus we see in medical symbology shows two snakes coiled around a winged rod, representing control over this duality. There are two versions of this symbol. The first one is the winged one known as the Caduceus. The stick is a staff that was carried by Olympian god Hermes. Hermes was the messenger between gods and the humans, explaining the wings and a guide to the underworld. Hermes was also the patron of travelers, making his connection to medicine appropriate because during ancient times, doctors traveled great distances in order to visit and treat their patients. In one version of the Hermes myth, he's given the staff by Apollo, the god of healing in Greek pantheon. In another, he receives the staff of Zeus, the king of the gods. It was originally entwined with two ribbons, but later replaced by serpents. One story tells that Hermes used the staff to separate two fighting snakes, who then coiled around his staff and remained there in balance, harmony. The Caduceus is a symbol of both Hermes and/or Mercury in Greek and Roman mythology. Surprisingly, the symbol is associated with thieves, merchants, and messengers. Mercury is said to be a patron of thieves and outlaws. Similar to Hermes, Mercury attempts to stop a fight between two snakes, throwing a rod at them, whereupon they entwined themselves around the rod and the symbol was born. Once again, the staff of Hermes is yet another representation of the spine, while the snakes are positive, negative, feminine, and masculine forces, being the union of where all life originates. In the second known version of the symbol, the son of Apollo and Princess Coronis, Asclepius is the Greek demigod of medicine. The Greeks regarded the serpent as sacred and used them in healing rituals to honor Asclepius. Snake venom was thought to be a remedy, and the skin shedding was viewed as a symbol of rebirth and renewal. According to Greek mythology, he was able to restore the health of the sick and bring back the dead. This version is known as the rod of Asclepius with one single snake. There is some confusion with the Caduceus and the rod of Asclepius. The Caduceus has two snakes entwined over a slender staff with a pair of wings, while the rod of Asclepius has one snake entwined over a thicker one. As we look at the characteristics of the snake shedding its skin, this represents transformation from illness to cure. Asclepius, god of healing, used his rod to heal. There is yet another well-known serpent symbol in human history, that of the Ouroboros. The Ouroboros is the ancient symbol depicting a dragon or a snake eating its own tail. The Ouroboros arrived in Western tradition via Egyptian iconography and the Greek magical tradition. It was adopted as a symbol in Gnosticism, Hermeticism, and the oldest allegorical symbol in alchemy. Now, what does the Ouroboros represent? It is a symbol for the unity of all things, material and spiritual, which never disappear, but perpetually change form in an eternal cycle of destruction and recreation. It signifies infinity and the cycle of birth and death. With the Gnostics, the head of the serpent represented God, the higher power or the spiritual realm, and the tail represented human beings and the physical world. This is how we understand the connection of unity and eternity. The Ouroboros symbolizes the circle of life as well as sexual intercourse, with the tail representing the male organ and the mouth representing the female one. The prevalence of serpents all over the world with almost identical symbology in so many different cultures throughout history is incredible. The driving force of every civilization to exist is sexual, the creative energy that the serpent puts into action. The way in which the energy of the serpent is handled can determine whether one awakens and unites with the light, or is consumed and destroyed by the darkness. Within the symbol of the serpent lies the energy of the universe that can either create or destroy. Serpent symbolism varies depending on the culture. They're seen as evil or as a symbol for healing and medicine. Many of the meanings align from one part of the world to the other. In some cultures, they can represent feminine power in relation to Eve, Hindu serpent deities, Mother Earth, and the soul. In ancient Egypt and Greece, the serpent is seen as a symbol of protection and guardianship. They're seen as guardians of sacred places and temples. This may be linked to how rattlesnakes and cobras behave when threatened. They hold their ground, and rather than retreat, they display an intimidating pose and will attack. The famous meditating Buddha statue depicts the sitting Buddha sheltered by the Naga snake. The Naga is usually a great cobra with one or multiple heads. It's believed that the snakes protect Buddha from the harsh elements of the storms. Their appearance can be a positive omen in letting you know that you're on your way to a transformative healing experience. From ancient Egyptians to the Bible, the serpent is an extremely pervasive and versatile symbol. Serpents are fascinating and terrifying at the same time. Unquestionably, this powerful animal is one of the oldest and widespread mythological symbols of our time. There are so many relationships to serpents and how they're represented in different cultures. The tales and symbolism associated with them are fascinating. I only named a few. In the Garden of Eden, Eve showed more courage than Adam. When the serpent offered the forbidden fruit, she sensed that there was something better than paradise. Snakes are a symbol of transformation. They teach us how vital it is to shed what no longer serves us. Snakes must literally shed or die. As painful of letting go of what restricts us can sometimes be, it's what allows us to survive, grow, and thrive. What are your thoughts on serpents or snakes? What do you think of the recurring themes we see through time, different cultures, and civilizations? What do they mean to you? Your opinions and comments are appreciated. If you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, please give it a thumbs up, Subscribe, and thank you for watching.